We've all heard stories about people being treated terribly at luxury stores. How do you avoid this? We've also heard stories about people being treated wonderfully, given champagne and such. How do you get treated like that? We'll talk about it in this video. Hi YouTube, Autumn Beckman here. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. My channel's all about luxury living on a budget, from high-end luxury handbags and small goods to the everyday luxuries of life. If that sounds interesting to you, please make sure you subscribe, click the bell notification icon to be notified when I post new videos, and be sure to like the videos that you enjoy. And one of the perks of subscribing to my channel is that you get to see my community posts on your YouTube homepage, and that's where I post deals and sales and discount codes and rare finds and related to the things that we love. So how do you avoid being treated badly and instead be treated very well at a luxury shop? Well, we're going to talk about some of this today, and I'll give you my 2 secrets, which aren't really secrets. It's sort of common sense when you come down to it, but I'll tell you what those things are. My top tips. I know a lot of people, especially if you're new to luxury, are intimidated by the luxury stores. I know when I was younger and I couldn't afford luxury yet, but I was still interested, I wanted to go in the stores and just look around, I was intimidated to do so. I didn't feel like I belonged there. I felt like you had to have all kinds of money to be allowed in those stores and not be looked down upon. Some of the stores even have guards at the door, which made it feel even more intimidating. I remember when I lived in New York and I went to the Louis Vuitton, I think the Fifth Avenue store, there was a guard that opened the door, and I felt like, oh yeah, I really don't belong in here. My Gucci store at the Galleria has a guard, Chanel has a guard, and my mindset at that time when I was younger was not seeing the guard as a security guard so much, but more like a bouncer. Like, they know I'm not supposed to be here. Now these days I have gotten over all that. I know it's nonsense. I don't care anymore how somebody looks at me or doesn't when I go into a luxury store. Now I know that I belong there just as much as anyone else, and not just because I can buy luxury now if I want to, but because I've learned to see it as just a store like any other. It's just a store that happens to sell more expensive things. But we've all heard the horror stories of people being treated poorly. People being snubbed or ignored when they go into these stores, rude salespeople who aren't being helpful or who seem to look down upon you or be dismissive of you. But we've also heard positive stories, people getting champagne and people having relationships with their sales associates, like they're buddies and they get inside deals and stuff. So how do we get the best service and avoid the negative service? I'm definitely not the first person to ask this question. Some people have experimented and tried different approaches at a luxury store to see what kind of reaction they get from salespeople. For example, I found a blog, and I will link it below, and they mentioned a study that said if you dress down that you'll get better service, because salespeople who are looking for wealthier clientele who can afford the kinds of things that luxury stores sell. The theory is that they know that if you're actually wealthy, you don't have to dress up, like you're not trying to impress anyone. Whereas someone who isn't may dress up to go in the store and try to be a little more impressive and look wealthier. Make sense? I know some of us have done that. So this blogger dressed down, dressed in what, athleisure, is that what it's called? Personally, I'm not a fan of that trend. To me, that's equivalent to going out in pajama bottoms and slippers, but that's just me. I know a lot of people like it. But these days you can't tell by looking at someone how much money they have. So this blogger went dressed very down because of this article that she found, and she found that she did not get good service dressed like that. Now, with my personal experience, I don't dress up to go to a luxury store, but I do tend to carry a nicer bag, a luxury bag. And I took one of my Chanel bags into Chanel once and found that on that day I happened to get better service than I had in the past when I wasn't carrying a Chanel bag. I've also been ignored at Louis Vuitton when I've gone in sometimes, and sometimes an associate will approach me right away. So my experiences have been varied, and for me, I can't pinpoint it to anything that I have done, the way I dress or the bag I carry or anything like that. What I have found is that ultimately, and this may seem obvious, but I think this is the reality, ultimately it just comes down to interpersonal relationships. Some of it has to do with you, how you walk into the store, your personality, your mood, and some of it has to do with the sales associates that happen to be there at the time. and their personalities and their moods. I would advise just go into the store, be yourself. Don't try to act like you're someone you're not or someone you think you should be to be in that store. Don't walk in expecting a fight, so don't walk in expecting to be treated rudely, and don't walk in feeling entitled like they need to bow at your feet either. How a sales associate approaches you may have something to do with you, but more than likely it's all about them, what their personality is, what their mood is, again, how they're feeling at the time, how busy they are, what kind of day they've had, what kind of client they just had before you. But I think no matter what their attitude is, as long as you approach the situation with kindness, friendliness, then more than likely you will receive that in return. If you get a sales associate who is rude to you, and it definitely happens, you have a few options. If there's something that you went into the store to get and you don't want to leave without it, you can buy it from them anyway, even though if you're not happy with their service. You could ask for another sales associate. You can get mixed reactions from that, but something you could do. It's within your rights. You could leave the store, maybe go to another boutique if there's one around, or order the item online or over the phone. You could say something to the associate. Maybe not be a jerk about it, but somehow in a nice way let them know that you feel like they're not treating you very well. Like, I don't know, a more subtle approach than, hey, you're being a jerk to me, but more like showering them with kindness maybe, or asking them how their day is going. Because most people, especially people who are trying to get a sale from you, in my experience, are not going to be rude and in a bad mood because they're being snobby or have something against you. They probably have something going on that has nothing to do with you. So maybe there's a way that you could try to lighten the situation and make everyone feel better. And of course, as the customer, it's really not your responsibility to do that. The employee, the associate, should be self-aware enough and professional enough not to treat people badly, but everybody has those days and those moments, you know? So once you have interacted with a sales associate that you enjoy interacting with, that it was a pleasant enough experience, whether or not you make a purchase from them, ask for their card before you leave. I always do this when I work with someone new. And of course, the big tip here is to get your own sales associate, so make a relationship with someone. At my Louis Vuitton store, I have Becca, and my relationship with her actually didn't start at Louis Vuitton. It started when she worked at Henry Bendel and I used to shop there with her. And then they shut down and I walked into Louis Vuitton one day and there was Becca. And I was like, score. So that was a happy coincidence, but I have made relationships with some other sales associates at other stores as well. Like when I went into Dior before Christmas last year, there was someone there who was very, very nice, and I got her card and I've worked with her a couple times since. And I will link both of their information below so you can contact them if you need to. If you are not near a store where you can go in and build a one-on-one relationship with a sales associate, and by building a relationship, I don't mean that you're going in all the time and making purchases all the time. That's not necessary. I just mean have a positive experience with them, get their information so that you can communicate. If there is something that you're looking for, you can text them, email them, and hopefully they'll get back to you. I have had some people not get back to me. Why? I don't know. I don't think it has anything to do with me. Maybe they're busy. Maybe they didn't have the item. Who knows? But if you're not near a store, the best way that I know of to find a sales associate is to go onto the Facebook groups, like the Reetzy groups. That's REETZY. And they have groups for Vuitton, Chanel, Dior, Hermes, you name it. And you can just go in the group and say, you know, whatever city you want to shop in, or just in general. Does anybody have a good sales associate at Houston Galleria or whatever it may be? Oh, and going backwards for a second, as far as people, sales associates at these stores being rude or snobby, another interesting point there is that I've heard across different platforms from different people that there are some stores, particular locations, that are known to be snobby or rude. And I find that kind of fascinating. I have not run across that myself, but I have heard from people I trust about particular locations. So perhaps that's a culture in that store. I would like to think that not everyone at a location would be that way. I would hope that a manager, I guess, doesn't breed that kind of attitude. Everyone who walks into the door should be welcomed equally, but who knows? There's also a theory that treating customers poorly in a luxury store makes them feel like, well, I'm going to show you, I'm going to buy stuff, because it makes the customer feel like, wait a minute, this sales associate thinks I can't afford this stuff, so I'm going to show them. I'm going to buy this $10,000 bag. I have heard that's actually a tactic. I don't know if anybody really uses it, but I've heard that. Now, what about the perks of shopping at luxury stores? Things like champagne. Now, personally, I have never been offered champagne at any of these stores, but I was gonna say often. I don't know how often, really. Many times over the many times that I have been in luxury stores, I have been offered a drink. No one has ever specifically said, may I offer you champagne? It's usually, may I offer you a drink? And then I request a sparkling water because that's my preference. I have never even thought, for some reason, to ask for champagne. So maybe next time I'm in one of these stores and I'm offered something, I will ask for it. But I've certainly seen other people at Louis Vuitton, at Dior, being served champagne. Chanel. I've been offered drinks at Louis Vuitton. I think it's Chanel, but I turned it down because I wasn't buying anything. And that's just something with me. I feel like generally, unless I'm like just really hot because it's Houston and I need a drink, I will generally not take a drink unless I plan to buy something, but that's just me. I've been offered a drink at Dior. I've even been offered a drink at Coach and at Mont Blanc. I don't go into Hermes often enough to be offered anything. And I think in situations where I have been really hot because it's Houston, it's like sweltering hot in the summer, if I go into a store and I am really thirsty and I plan to buy something, I have asked for a drink before I've even been offered something. So I mean, it doesn't hurt to ask, as long as you're not entitled about it, you know, be nice about it. Any chance I could get a sparkling water, glass of champagne maybe? Worth a shot. As far as VIP gifts and being invited to VIP events, it's my understanding that that has to do with the amount of money you spend, because those are events that the sales associates can only invite a limited number of people or give the gifts to a limited number of people. Of course, they want to court the customers who are going to spend more because their salaries are based on commission or they're based on sales quotas. So that makes sense. I can't fault them for that. But things like a glass of water or champagne or whatever, don't be afraid to ask for that if you want it. The worst they can do is say no. So again, some of this may seem pretty commonsensical, right? The way you're treated, it's all about interpersonal relationships. Get yourself a sales associate that you can communicate with. Be nice. But that's how it works. There's really no big secret. And why is it that some sales associates will help you get what you want and some can help you like break the rules? Like you're not supposed to be able to pre-order anything anymore, but your associate can pre-order stuff for you. It depends on the person. It depends on the associate. It probably depends on the culture at that store, because some people can get in trouble for that. Some people, I guess, don't or don't care. I don't know. But again, it's just different people, different human behavior, just like everything else in life. So those are the big secrets. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. I hope to see you back here next time. I hope you and your loved ones are doing well, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Good luck with your luxury shopping. Check out Becca and my Dior associate below. Bye.